My being the oldest president, I know more world leaders than any one of you ever met in your whole goddamn life. Whole goddamn life.
What a piece of work that Joe Biden is. I mean, literally, he's got health issues. Everybody knows it. And now he is yelling obscene words at the freaking media. I don't understand why he has still been allowed the office of presidency, even though, I mean, Donald Trump, thank God, is getting in here shortly, but I don't even know why he's even allowed to be in the office right now. Everybody knows that the man has lost it, completely and utterly lost it. But with that, I think it's a good way to start off the program because Biden, not only is he using obscene and foul language against the mainstream media, but he is also sabotaging Donald Trump and the American people, quite frankly, at every single turn he could possibly do it. In fact, there's a major warning I'm going to share with you midway through this video regarding Donald Trump and some stuff that's going down in the White House. And not only that, but look, Donald Trump has already been sabotaging it. He's been selling off parts of the border wall, I think like $5 or some stupid, ludicrous price. And ultimately, Donald Trump's going to have to buy more material for the wall. So the price tag falls on you and I, not on Donald J. Trump, to get this wall done. So it's a real freaking middle finger to the American people. Meanwhile, he's doing all kinds of other stuff. And you guys are going to be sickened by this. But here it is. And this is on the dailymail.co.uk. Biden sabotages Trump as he bans all future oil and gas drilling just days before he's sworn in. It's almost as if he wants to make sure that his long life legacy is that we have high prices on our gasoline. Again, a big fat middle finger to the American people. It goes on to state, Joe Biden has banned all future offshore oil and gas drilling in a last-ditch effort to stop Donald Trump from keeping his promise to expand offshoring drilling. It's a blatant move to try to sabotage the incoming Trump administration as the mega diehard has pledged to reverse Biden's climate change policies once he takes office in 14 days. And it goes on to state this as well. The action, right, which will protect more than 625 million acres of federal waters, could be difficult for Trump to unwind, since it will likely require an act of Congress to repeal. So in order to repeal the damage that Joe Biden has just done by banning all future and oil gas drilling, right, just days before he's sworn in, it's going to take an act of Congress for Trump to undo that. In other words, it just can't be easily undone or revoked with the stroke of his pen. Not only that, but Joe Biden also did this. Take a look. This is on zerohedge.com. Biden quietly bans most gas-powered tankless water heaters in a significant regulatory shift that took place quietly the day after Christmas. Merry Christmas, big fat middle finger to the American people. The Biden administration finalized new climate rules targeting natural gas-powered instantaneous water heaters. The Department of Energy, the DOE, which traditionally issues a press release for such regulations, chose not to announce these changes publicly, raising eyebrows across various sectors. Now, why would they not want to announce that publicly? Well, here's the reason why. The regulations are set to remove approximately 40% of the current tankless water heater models from the market by 2029. This shift is expected to force consumers to opt for either more expensive or less efficient alternatives. An industry analysis forecasts that the average cost increase for the new water heater due to the regulations will be around $450. This price hike is poised to disproportionately affect low-income and senior households who are among the most reliant on the more affordable models currently targeted for phase out. Look, my parents are one of those people. Right? They still live in a trailer. They don't make a lot of money, very poor, and they use one of these water heaters. Interesting, because they themselves are obviously seniors, right? This is insane. So again, this is why he did it the day after Christmas, to keep it from the American public. But that's not all. He's also wanting to send billions of our dollars over to Israel for arms sales. Scoop, Biden notifies Congress of $8 billion arm sale to Israel. So Look, we don't have money to be spending right now. We don't have it. We're trillions of dollars in debt. We've got hurricane victims that are freaking suffering. We don't have money to send. I don't know your view on either of this, but all I do know is financially, we cannot afford it. The State Department has notified Congress informally of an $8 billion proposed arms deal with Israel that will include munitions for fighter jets and attack helicopters, as well as artillery shells, two sources with direct knowledge tell Axios. Look, I think we need to get our crap together here in the United States and help the victims of these hurricanes before we send any more money anywhere. Many of them are still hurting, but never fear, that's not the only thing going on before Mr. Joe Biden leaves office. Take a look at Washington Examiner. And I've covered this one before, but I really feel the need to cover it, briefly again. But State Department documents reveal secret plans to route censorship office to new hub. What that is basically talking about, and again, I've touched on this, is the Global Engagement Center, which was a center that was highly involved, just putting it bluntly, in the censorship of any mainstream or any media sources that were slightly on the right. So a bunch of sources like, for example, and I don't remember all the people they targeted, but like Breitbart sites and Gateway Pundit sites and anybody who was on the right side of forecasting, they targeted and they censored. That is their whole agenda. And the good news is they're closing down the department. It's officially shut down. It was officially shut down in late 2024. But what is Joe Biden administration doing? They're taking all the employers within that and spreading them through other departments and relabeling their duties and jobs. In other words, they're keeping every bit of the Global Engagement Center and making it really hard for Donald Trump to find all those employees because they've been scattered, and to really target and to really figure out how to stop this censorship regime that's going to exist at a level within his administration. That is what Joe Biden has done. Now, here's the most shocking part of all of this, and I think this is a huge warning, and this warning is coming from Joshua Steinman. He spent 4 years on President Trump's National Security Council, right? And he has a major warning to give for Donald J. Trump. And I have to say, I agree wholeheartedly with this warning to the president. And yet another way that the White House is trying to sabotage Donald J. Trump. Take a look at this. And this is on his X page there. But he goes on to say, I spent 4 years on Trump's National Security Council, or the NSC, right? From the very first day to the last, and he fears that there are mistakes being made now. The mistake is that the NSC is going to lead to 4 years of ineffective governance at best and betrayal at worst. And out of loyalty to Trump, he is going public with this information. Now, if you don't know what the NSC is, basically he sums it up. If the president is the owner of a football team, the NSC is the quarterback. Basically, they do all the hard work of the president. They do what the president demands them to do. To put it shortly, right, the NSC are a group of staff officers who sit in the White House and whose job it is to make sure that the departments and agencies of the United States government do what the president wants them to do. It is their job to make sure what the president says happens. So they're a very critical piece of the puzzle. But he goes on, when it comes to the staff, personnel is policy. I'm hearing from multiple people that a significant percent of the NSC staff have been told that they will be allowed to stay. This is a serious error if true, and I agree. Removing people like this isn't personal. It's just prudent. And then he goes on to tell why. And he says, okay, during term one meaning Donald Trump's administration, himself, Ezra A. Cohen, and other advocated for rapid turnover of the staff to bring in new blood. But because they were afraid of the optics of mass hiring, they were told not to do that, and they allowed 50% of them to stay. In other words, they fired 50, kept 50% during the first Trump administration. And then when Biden got in, what did Biden do? He fired them all. He didn't care about optics. He fired all of them and brought in a new team. And we should absolutely do the same. These people should not be staying on staff. He goes on, many who stayed that first time under Trump's first presidency undermined President Trump by pursuing their Obama guidance from until given explicit orders to stop. Some who stayed were great. These civil servants had signed for a different POTUS. They weren't aligned with his mission. And the president obviously deserves a loyal staff, and I agree. And then he goes on, President Trump should have his own team of loyal staff to execute the new direction he campaigned for across all of these efforts. So what he's saying, what Joshua Steinman is saying here, he goes, fire everybody and get a new staff. It has to be people that are aligned with you, because right now he's hearing through the grapevine that half of them are being allowed to stay. And he's saying this is an utter it is a bad move, because these people are not going to advocate for you. And we're going to run into the same problem that they did the first time. This is huge, absolutely huge. But he goes on to state this. He says he goes, next thing that he has to pay attention to, is the people who are going to be hired. This is a very important point. He says, many who have gotten the nod are great, but a significant number of as yet unannounced staff have long histories of being vocally never Trump and working for prominent figures who have repeatedly undermined the president. He goes on, remember, NSC are staff officers. They make hundreds of minor decisions a month that affect U.S. foreign policy. And he gives an example of something they may approve or do, right? But he goes, unless they are aligned with you politically, it is just going to be business as usual, right? This is why it's important to have the right staff on, period. And he goes on, hiring, it's critical that the people taking these jobs are subject matter experts as well, so they can kind of focus on the subject matter. And then he concludes with this: there is more going on here, but I'm going to leave it there for now. I know there are folks who will be upset at me for going public, and that is okay. I'm not upset with you at all for going public, Joshua Steinman, and I think you should have, because we all saw the mistakes of Donald Trump in the first administration, and we all see what's going on right now with Joe Biden, dementia Joe, or Alzheimer's Joe, or whatever. We see what's going on. We see the sabotage that is taking place. Never in the history of a presidential transition to power has there been this much pushback from one presidency to another, where they're literally trying to sabotage everything. It's insane, folks. We've got one hell of a ride in 2025, and I really hope you are ready for it. But one way that you can really be ready for it is get to restrictedrepublic.com. Look, I created this because they are censoring us to oblivion. You're not getting the full information here on these controlled platforms. That is why these controlled platforms are absolutely free. Get to Restricted Republic, sign up right now, use the coupon code Lisa and the number 5. Lisa and the number 5, get it for $5 per month. You're going to want to see the insights of what's going on. I'm putting out a huge report exclusive to Restricted later on today as well, and you're not going to want to miss it. Anyhow, I love you guys. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.